Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to announce our new sponsor, Mesa Modern Mexican. When you go mention the B Team podcast, tell them that us two sent you. And also, you'll get 10% off any entrees. Mesa also hosts happy hour Monday to Friday, 4 to 6, and also a reverse happy hour Fridays and Saturdays, 9:30 to 10:30. And plus, obviously, I work there, so I will be slinging drinks like the Jets are going to sling opposing teams' W's. It's inevitable. So come to Mesa, come get some good entrees, some good drinks, and have a good time.
You know, Mesa is just like the greatest spot to watch a game. One, you get to look at Mikey Panda Bear.
Yeah.
Two, the food's fantastic. Salsa's great. Guac's even better.
I know.
The drinks are phenomenal. Get Mikey making you a margarita while you get 10% off your entree. You really can't beat it on a good Sunday football game. Start this Sunday. Why not?
Yeah.
You know? Start this Sunday.
Come on this Sunday. Let me make you my specialties. Let's have a good time. Let's hang out.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Enjoy the show.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the B Team.
Duval.
We got Mike over there.
Duval.
All right, so that's just going to happen the entire episode. Yeah, we're keeping a Duval counter market, because that was outrageous what
Duval.
he did. This counter's going to be in the hundreds.
It might.
So we're going to get into all the head coaching hires that have occurred so far this year. We've landed. It's almost every team's done. Done. I think we're waiting on the Saints.
The Saints, that's probably the main one.
That's
but
it.
I think everyone. What are the Steelers doing?
He's coming back. He's coming back. I think if you haven't made a decision on firing the guy that's there by now, you're done.
I love how it just like complete. We had like 1 or 2 weeks of Tomlin talk, and then bam, out the window.
Yeah,
because we know what's going to happen.
He's coming back. He's going to come back. Yeah.
But this is not a Steelers show today. We're not getting into them.
No. The thing with head coaching is, coordinators, it can be a little hit or miss when they get fired, when they bring in new guys, especially with the head coaching carousel going on right now. But I feel like for head coaches in the NFL, if you're not fired by the wild card, you essentially are coming back the next year.
Yeah,
it's a guarantee because,
and if not, you fumble it and you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, because you're looking at some of these guys, Ben Johnson, Vrabel, Coen, Carroll, Glenn, Schottenheimer, like all these guys were getting interviewed during the playoffs. I mean, we're not even at the Super Bowl yet. We're not even within a week of the Super Bowl, and almost every single interview is finished.
The Cowboys took a little bit longer than the other teams. I think the Cowboys and the Jags were on the same trajectory. Yeah. Whether it be like, are we keeping Mike? Like the way the Cowboys handled it was very interesting.
Very interesting. Honestly, we're going to get into that one last.
Yes, I'm with you.
So yeah, today's show is really going to focus on the head coaching carousel that went about, and once we're done with that, we will get into the sports betting aspect of the. I'm not even going to look at that anymore. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. It's just going to occur the whole episode.
Write it, bro.
I know.
I'm going to use that every time. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Back to the show.
You know what? We're going to get this one over with right now. Breaking news today.
Oh, yeah. Let's get that done.
I mean, what are we doing? Is it something in the water in that division? I mean, we got Deshaun Watson out in Cleveland, and now we got. I mean, he's a kicker.
What a bad year.
He's a kicker.
Bad year.
Tucker has 10. Is it 10 cases being filed against him for sexual misconduct?
A span of what, 10 years, something like that?
Over a span of 10 years. Sexual. I can't talk today.
Yeah.
It's like the fourth time I've messed up.
It's all right.
Sexual misconduct over 10 years with Baltimore to top off one of the worst years he's had
his career.
In the league.
What is up with these guys and going to massage therapist and just begging for happy endings? Stop going.
You're a high caliber NFL football player. Go to any bar in America and figure it out.
Go to the mall. See the guys with the seats that are just standing there.
Yes.
That is the best way possible because now you're just asking for someone to just allegedly come at you and say that you sexually assaulted them.
Yeah.
Like it's enough.
You're in the middle
of
a mall at that point.
You're in the middle of a mall. Nothing can happen.
No, nothing.
You know what I mean?
Like everyone's looking. If something goes down, everyone's going to see. It's on camera.
Like what is the thought process of getting all of these massage therapists who probably are women, let's be real, and you have football players who have been playing all year long, and my God, they probably need squirrel's going to find its nut somehow, but my God, enough. enough of this.
Yeah.
This is terrible. Terrible. Look, you have a career in the league, especially Justin Tucker, who's pretty much a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now what's going to happen?
Now his Hall of Fame is in question.
Oh, 100%. If this is going about, look at Deshaun Watson. His career went right down the tube.
Done.
Somehow the Browns rejuvenated his career with a massive contract, but this is ridiculous.
I wouldn't say they rejuvenated his career.
They
more so just paid
gave
him
the
off.
money. Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes, they didn't rejuvenate shit except for his financials.
Nothing. So that's a crazy thing that occurred today. I kind of wish that they were still playing now just to see what would occur. You know, like, would the Ravens have allowed him to keep playing, or would they have used this as an excuse to cut ties with them?
Yeah.
Not an excuse. I mean, you shouldn't want that in your team.
But
but a reason to end it after that terrible season.
Well, this just came out today too, so obviously they're going to be investigating a long time about this. It's gonna
look at the Deshaun Watson one. It was
Deshaun Watson thing is
a
still
year and a half still going.
Yeah, so Justin Tucker, this is going to take a long time now. The Ravens, if they were smart, I know you love the guy and he's done everything for your franchise. Yeah. You don't want this in the building. No. Get rid of him. No. Either you cut him, you trade him, because there will be some team like maybe Duval. Sorry, I had to. But like some team that needs a kicker, and it's just going to be like, you know what? We don't believe that this isn't right. We're just going to take him anyways. Cleveland, give him 3 first-round picks. Yeah. You love guys who love happy endings on the team, so might as well make it a culture in the locker room, right? Unbelievable.
Oh, gosh.
Especially a guy like
insane.
Tucker. Man. That's such a terrible ending towards your career.
Yes.
Like, Deshaun Watson was pretty much in his prime, on the early end of his prime.
Yeah, he had some time where he could have recovered from it. He didn't recover from it. Tucker, I mean, it's over. This is your lasting impression on the NFL.
Oh, so bad. I mean, hey, that's what happens when you fucking become a pred. When you're a predator. Unbelievable. But again, we need to read more about this. There's a lot. It just came out today. We're going to read more about it, and we'll go from there.
Reminder, head over to Mesa Modern Mexican. Get yourself a nice little discount on your entrees when you mention the B Team podcast. Mike, anything to say on that?
10% off Saturday night. Your boy will be there yelling, Duval. Come to Mesa, dude. Come see me. The people who are in the valley or whatever, not in the valley, come on over to Mesa, dude. We have good food, and I'll make you a good drink, whether it's a Sprite, a ginger ale, or something alcoholic. Just come through. Come to Mesa. 10% off your freaking entrees.
Great food. They also have their Valentine's Day menu out now. Go over there. Check it out. Head to their Instagram to check out the menu now. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's have a great Galentine's this year.
Let's do it.
All right, Mike, let's get into the head coaches here. So let's start with the big one. Ben Johnson, the most sought-after coach this offseason, OC of the Lions, has now left. The Lions actually lost both their OC and their DC, which we'll get into later. You know, I think this is a great hire by the Bears. I think whoever got Ben Johnson was going to be an A-plus hire until further notice. You know, you're pairing him up, most sought-after coach, like we just said, with the most sought-after quarterback from last year's draft. Not a bad team. Maybe tweak the O-line a little bit, get that defense humming a little more, and all of a sudden you're looking at a Bears team that could certainly compete in that division, let alone the playoffs.
So I went on a A, B, C grading scale here based off all of the official hirings that are about right now and have been announced. I don't think there are any F signings or hirings per se. Again, there's only been a handful of like head coaching hires in the league. So I'll start with Ben Johnson, and I have 3 A's. He's one of them. I don't want to throw an A+ around because that's just like doing a 10 out of 10. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but he has been the most sought after OC for the last 3 years of the coaching cycle. So the fact that not only did the Chicago Bears get him a division rival, but Caleb Williams now gets a guy like Ben Johnson who can flourish this offense and actually turn it into something that scores points rather than have Caleb Williams and all these other elite guys on the team. Like Keenan Allen, I know he's getting towards the end of his career here. DJ Moore's still in his prime. DeAndre Swift, we know what Roma Dunze is another guy. Cole Kmet. Like they have the pieces around Caleb to make Caleb a very good quarterback. I just think they had no direction last year. They had no identity. They didn't really have Eberflus was never the answer. We've said this so many times, but immediately Caleb gets better. Caleb's going to learn under Ben Johnson. Everyone's going to be bought in because of what – I mean, they've seen it firsthand. They played him twice a year. the last 3 years. So they've seen Ben Johnson coach. They've seen how that offense has been run.
The fuck's a cat doing?
We have Max, the kitty cat, down here. Just want to say, yo, bring him up here. Can you do that?
I'm not touching
He's gonna bite you.
I'm not touching him. Bro, go away.
I swear I
All
closed
right,
the door.
let's go.
But whatever, Max. This is the top guy, and a lot of guys are going to buy in.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, we've seen. Listen, the playoffs where he had against the Commanders had a couple questionable calls. That's pretty much the bad we've seen from Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
So now he goes to Chicago. Everyone's bought in, and he's gonna turn that offense around. Now the defense is fine. I don't have an issue with the defense. I think they'll be exactly how they were last year, if not better. Depends on what they do in free agency in the draft. But I think Ben Johnson for the Bears, massive, massive move. That's an A for me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And Keenan Allen is going to be an interesting offseason for him. You know, let's see what the Bears can do this offseason offensively, but I think the biggest thing for them is that O-line.
Yes.
You got to fix the O-line because the run game was god-awful last year. Couldn't get anything going. You know, Caleb, there was a lot of games where you and I sat and were like, you know, his numbers are good. They're not great. They're not bad. But he also is scrambling almost every snap.
He had a second in the pocket most of the time,
Yeah.
bro. They're getting blown up no matter what.
Yeah, so Ben Johnson, first order of business, you got to figure out that O-line. You got to protect Caleb. Once you do that, I think a lot of stuff's going to open up for that team. So offseason, look for them to get into that O-line, especially in the draft.
And you know what's interesting, too? Like, I feel like a lot of offensive coordinators nowadays, and even not nowadays, but in the past, have looked beyond the offensive line. They were more so intrigued of who's my running back, who's my tight end, who are my receivers. Yeah. They didn't really focus on the O-line like they should have. Mm-hmm. But Ben Johnson, I mean, they had the Lions had one of the best O-lines in the league. Yeah. So that's going to be a massive focal point for them, and I think Ben Johnson knows that too. A lot of options in the draft, and there are going to be a lot of guys either coming off injury or have expiring contracts with some teams that you got to go after, and you got to take a shot. You got to shot it.
That's one of the big things that he's walking into here. You know, he doesn't have to go get a weapon. He has weapons. He's got plenty of weapons.
Exactly.
Rome's going to step up. Defensively, like you said, they're very good. You really just have to focus on that O-line.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on that O-line, build it up, get some edge rushers, and all of a sudden this team is competing.
And I think that's
competing
why they were
very well.
Yeah, and that's why they were so attractive because I look at the Jets the same way. Like they have some pieces on the O-line, good running back, good receivers. Like it's
less
attractive.
to fix.
Yes, it's less to fix. It's a very attractive spot. I think that's why Jacksonville wasn't really selling him because of the way we'll get into that, the way they handle things and their weapons as well. Like we know Trevor's stealing. Yeah. We kind of know what quarterback Trevor is, but Caleb's been in for 1 year, and his numbers, again, weren't great, but they weren't bad. But when you give him an actual offense and time in the pocket and some creativity in the playbook, I mean, that's going to be fun to watch.
Do you see Ben Johnson calling the plays still? Because I know he brought in
100%.
Declan Doyle. He's got Dennis Allen there now on defense.
Great pick.
You think Ben Johnson's still going to be calling everything? Or is he going to take a step back? Because I know Aaron Glenn did say that he won't be calling plays. He's going to take a step back and try and be the best head coach he could be instead of the best D coordinator.
I think Aaron Glenn's position is a lot different because he is more so a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. And as a first-year head coach, same with Ben Johnson, it's a little bit different because you don't really have – you have a lot on your plate, but your main focus is being an offensive coordinator. But when you're in a culture like the Detroit Lions have developed over the last 2 to 3 years, you kind of have that instilled in you. Like, I think Aaron Glenn could call plays, but he's not going to. Obviously, they decided to steal Wilkes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think he should. I mean, that is pretty much what he's known for.
No, I agree with you because when you look at Ben Johnson, the way he's called that offense all year, you know, there's not many people that are as aggressive or as creative as him on that offensive side of the ball. You know, Declan Doyle could come in. I mean, that's not a very creative name. Let's start there. But Ben Johnson, you know, I would have to imagine they're both going to be working very, very, very closely together on how we want to call the game, how aggressive we want to be, how creative we want to be. And if it's anything close to the Lions, I mean, the Chicago Bears are going to be an electric factory. Mm-hmm. With those weapons that they have, they could easily replicate what the Lions have been doing.
Yeah, and they have a lot of they're going to have a lot of staff that's going to also be not just an X's and O's tactician guy, but they're going to be leaders and they're going to be motivators. It's not just going to be a two-man show with Wilkes and their defensive coordinator. Like Ben Johnson's in the Dennis Allen. I'm sorry, Ben Johnson is in there for a reason, and he's there to help Caleb. Caleb was the number one selling point of that team, and it was nothing else. Obviously, your weapons, but you have one of the best guys that we've seen come out of college in a long time. I mean, we've had good guys. be very highly touted coming out of college, but Caleb was a different breed, in my opinion.
Yes.
So having him and Ben work together, it's going to be magical. I really think so.
Yeah, and going from one winner at quarterback to the other, I mean, it's very similar with Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence down in Duval, baby.
Duval.
Mark it down. That's 2.
Duval.
That's 3.
Duval. Sorry. It's fucking great.
This hire, you got Brian Schottenheimer down in Dallas. You got Ben Johnson's whole dilemma about what team he's going to go to. You got Pete Carroll out at Vegas. You got the Saints who still have yet to hire anybody. Actually, they have people dropping out of it.
Disaster.
This was probably the most controversial of all the hires because of the way it went down. Tampa Bay is sitting there. You make him, the day before he even accepts this job, you made him the highest paid coordinator in the league. Very well deserved. I mean, quarterback whisper when you talk about what he's done in the league so far and what he did with Baker last year.
Yeah.
I get why he would take this job, and he's well within his right to do it. Mm-hmm. But the way he went about it, I just feel like he should have. Tampa Bay, it seems like, got completely blindsided.
Oh, 100%.
Like, how do you not let Tampa Bay know that this is still on the table? You're just, when you sign a contract the day before, I mean, that should be it. You know that Jacksonville is still there. Like, you're telling me that you signed that contract and had no clue that Jacksonville was going to be in the question still? That's just a little fishy to me.
This was exactly some insider trading shit, right?
Yes.
Because Balky was the one who was pushing away potential candidates for that team. Yeah. Then you have Khan on the freaking Zoom call, like, oh, if there's a guy that you would want, like, would you fire Balky? Oh, yes, I would. Bam,
how do you
as
say
he's
that
on the Zoom call.
With the GM right there?
Amazing. I love how Jacksonville Duval is handling all this stuff. But Liam Coen was scheming too. He like you said, completely blindsided the Bucs. He was negotiating under the table with Khan about the coaching job. And I think he messed up, truly. But you know what? He got what he wanted. He got the head coaching gig. Let's see if he can actually do something with it. Because again, you have Trevor, who has been through a flurry of coaches and schemes and different offensive game plans. Yep. Dougie P, listen, you won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Good for you. You have had to hang on that. But they just have not gone anywhere.
No.
And they've just been a disaster. So I think having an offensive guy in there is going to be nice, even though Dougie P is. But I liked him for Tampa, and I thought he fit the role perfectly. And the fact that you were going to be paid the highest paid coordinator in the game, they must be scheming up on something. Khan had to sell him on something to bring him to Jacksonville, because he had it all in Tampa. So we'll see how that goes. I gave that a C. Number 1 because of Duval. And number 2, just the way it kind of came. Oh, nice. That was a good one. Just the way it came about, dude, and the way it worked.
One sec. Time out. Let's back this thing up real quick. Why did he have to say Duval like that? You know what I mean? He said it, He
had no clue, bro.
It was, no offense to everyone that was in the frat, stereotypical fraternity Duval. That's what it Duval. That was weird. Even
the people, the media didn't know how to react. They were like,
that.
Yeah.
That was what's his name down in Arizona?
Yeah,
that was him his first day. Both of them. And I mean, he's done a little better, but so I guess it's not the worst thing for Liam Coen to be, kind of known for that now. But I can't imagine the players are sitting there like, yo, this guy's a dog. Like, no, they're looking at that guy like, what the fuck did we just
Well, you see it with a lot of, look at Dan Campbell, like biting off kneecaps. Look at Aaron Jets.
No,
like,
but that was cool.
New York Jets.
That was cool.
Yeah, like that one was just like, okay, are we buying out now? Are we selling the stock? But listen, so you never know. We're never going to forget this if they actually do something for once. But yeah, that was a really bad start. That was a bad start.
Terrible start. I do want to comment on your choice to give him a C. I'm not saying this is a great hire, but in terms of what Jacksonville has done, they kind of did a 180 from what their normal trajectory is in this department of finding a head coach. Mm-hmm. They went full-blown radical and got Urban Meyer a few years ago.
Yeah.
That tanked real fast.
Yep.
Then you went and turned around and got Dougie P., former Super Bowl winner. Nice, but
can't be mad about that hire.
Is he Is he the best man for the job? I don't know. Clearly he wasn't. And now you're just falling into line with the rest of the league. You know, go after the young guy who's on the rise.
Offensive coordinator.
You know, he's hot in the streets, offensive coordinator, offensive mind. You know, he can work with a lot of quarterbacks, figure out what's best for them, and make it happen on the field. They're going that route, so kudos to them. I just don't see it. That first interview didn't make me say, like, yes. Like, if I'm a Jacksonville fan and I'm like cheering in the streets, I'm lying to myself. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
This could change because look at Sirianni, too. Sirianni looked like he was in a public speaking class in high school. Like, he couldn't even form a sentence. But why I gave them a C is because how the organization and the owner handled this. They handled it under the table and the way it went about, because now that is just robbery at its finest. But they did get rid of Balk. If they would have kept him, it would have been F. Yeah. And I like this guy because of what he did with Baker in that offense, because I think he did a phenomenal job, but just everything about Jacksonville turns me off. Like, look, come on, let's be real now. Like, do we really think? And listen,
that pool's not doing it for you
in the AFC South. Like, maybe he might get, I don't know, 7 wins, but
yeah, I mean,
just a very odd way
South,
to go about it.
The AFC South's not exactly strong.
No, it's not.
You know, like you got Jacksonville, the Titans, the Colts, and the Texans. So I mean, you look at the Texans; they'll be back stronger next year. They figured out a way to make the playoffs this year. They certainly will next year. The Colts kind of in a weird spot. No one really knows what's happening. There's AR the answer. No one knows. I hope he is, but it's not looking great for him. Then you got Tennessee. I mean, that is not a good situation. You got Will Levis sitting there. Will they take a quarterback in the draft? Who knows? Who knows where that team's going?
Yeah.
You know, so for Liam Coen, I would look at Jacksonville and say, I could make some noise here. I could make the playoffs here. Mm-hmm. You know, as opposed to maybe a Vegas, New England, or Chicago. You know, Jacksonville, when you look at the teams, you got Chicago, New England, Jacksonville, Vegas, Jets, Cowboys, Saints. Of those teams, who is the most playoff ready within their division coming off this year? Probably Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. It probably is. With the weapons that they have on offense and the way that they're able to stay in games, it's probably them, because I know the Cowboys are there, but who knows what they'll have next year. Who knows where they're going? The Jets, same thing. Yeah, everyone thought that this year was going to be great, and it was the furthest thing from it. And now Vegas, not a good spot, have no quarterback. New England, have a quarterback, don't know what else they have. And then Chicago, they're cursed. They're like the Jets.
Let's just go off your point here. I want to get into the 2 that you mentioned. Let's do the Patriots first. And I want to...
Great hire. Great hire.
So I gave them an A. I think that was a never a doubt hiring. I'm going to say this real quick. Are we jumping the gun on Drake May? We've seen 1 year from this dude, and everyone's like, oh, I think they got their quarterback. Like,
Pro Bowl.
Dude, we've only seen 1 year of this dude, and we don't know what he is. Listen, he looked like a rookie out there.
Pro Bowl.
Is he? No way.
Yeah, did you not see this?
No.
He's in the Pro Bowl.
Okay, great. He gets to play in Hawaii and hang out with his boys and maybe go golfing after their freaking skills challenge. But if we get back to the hiring here, I like this for the Patriots for a lot of reasons. I just think there's so much familiarity. I mean, he played for this team. For when you hire a coach that played for the team back in, I don't know, the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s, it just has a different feel to it. And I think Vrabel understands how that organization is run. I mean, he literally won Super Bowls with them. He played with Brady. He's obviously had a winning record with the Titans, took him to the playoffs for, I think, 2 straight years. I think it was in the AFC Chip, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. I just think it's such a simplified offense, and he's just a player's coach. There's a video that I've seen of Vrabel back with the Titans where he literally put on a vest and it's just hanging out with the trenches and doing drills with the trenches. Like, not even the player. He's not watching the players. He's participating in these drills. I think the Patriots need a guy like that. Gerard Mayo, he just didn't have it. We didn't really know who he is. Yeah. Like, he reminded me of an Eberflus in a way. Like, okay, like, he played for them, but, like, there's just not really...
I wouldn't even say it's an Eberflus, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel this was really
I'm saying for Gerard Mayo.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like, I think Gerard Mayo, it was one of those things Robert Kraft was doing a favor for. Like, oh, we don't know what we really want here. Yeah. Let's put him at head coach. We know we're not going to be good this year anyways. And if he's good, perfect. If not, Vrabel will be there next year.
I think Vrabel's going to be there for a while. I look at the Patriots like the Steelers in a way where they just go through so little coaches for such a great amount of time. I mean, Belichick has been there for fucking ages. And then Gerard Mayo was, let's just see what it is. And then maybe the record just completely turned off Robert Kraft and how they were doing. So I think Vrabel, he just has that knowledge as a player and that knowledge as a head coach. Because, again, it's not easy going into the offseason and hiring coaches like Aaron Glenn, we're getting to him next, that are like first-year head coaches, have never been stepped up into the big moment. Like, you never know how it's going to go. It's really much a roll of the dice. Only so many people have worked out like that. But I don't know. I just think it's perfect for them. He's just a Patriot at the end of the day. So it's a really good hire for them.
Mike Vrabel going to the Patriots was my favorite hire of the offseason so far.
Easy.
In my mind, he was the best hire of the offseason so far because when you look at this Patriots team, you have a good quarterback right now. He's not great. He's not bad. He's good. Good quarterback. Rookie quarterback, going to be in his second year. The team isn't terrible. It's not a bad team. Do they have the best weapons? No. But they don't have the worst. And what did Mike Vrabel take to the playoffs multiple times? It was a Tennessee team that was exactly what I just said to you, minus the fact of a second-year quarterback. They had Tannehill.
And they had Derrick Henry.
But he overachieved with that team.
Yes.
And when you look at the way Derrick Henry runs, I'm not saying Ramondre's Derrick Henry here, but you could run a similar offense where you're grounding and pounding and the defense just stands on their head and keeps you in football games. Mike Vrabel's done this before. He knows how to get the best out of his teams, and I think he overachieves with the Patriots next year and pushes some teams, especially within the division.
Absolutely. And the one thing about the Patriots that will always be a permanency with that team is the defense. The defense is always going to be there to bail you out. Mm-hmm. It's now, what can we do with this offense? Because you have a guy like Demario Douglas, who was undrafted, very, very good slot guy, very underrated player in the league. Hunter Henry, how long are you going to keep him on the team? Very good veteran presence, kind of like a Zach Ertz. Yeah. The O-line, I definitely think needs some work. But again, when you have a guy, he overachieved with the Titans, where they did a lot of zone blocking schemes, and they just once they found a gap, they had a guy like Derrick Henry who exploit it and just run down the field. Yes. So if they could just keep the defense in check, which it should be, and build on the offense, because that's where they need the most work. They have a lot of guys they remind me of the Packers in a little bit. Like, they have a really
they're
good
mid-table.
Yes,
they're
mid-table. They have one
they're Man
very
United
good
right now.
guy. Sure, yeah. One very good guy, and then a lot of guys that make plays like, oh, there he is. That's what we drafted him for. Yes. I think Jalen Polk, if you can unlock that guy, I think they're going to really start feeding him the ball. But I think they need someone physical. They need Teddy McMillan type of guy. I would love I would hate it.
That would be a good one.
But for the Patriots to draft a guy like him who could be an immediate wide receiver one, physical, long, contested catch ability, I think that's a perfect home run for them for the first year of the draft of the Patriots.
Yeah, no, that's why I actually had written down that I think he's in a better situation in New England than he was ever in Tennessee. Yeah, solely because of the position that the team's in.
100%.
He doesn't have to worry about the quarterback. They have their quarterback. I know you just had questions about him, but I think they have their quarterback. Drake May was never going to come in and be Caleb Williams. He wasn't expected to be that. Yeah, but he is exactly what New England is used to. He's exactly what they're used to. Tom Brady. Mm-hmm.
He's shown flashes.
Unathletic white guy.
Yeah.
Except he actually is athletic.
Robert Kraft loves those.
Yep.
All right, what else? I got 3.
Let's get into Aaron Glenn.
Okay, let's do it. I got Glenn, and then we'll go Raiders Cowboys after that.
I forgot about Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
we can talk about Pete Carroll quick if you want
real
to.
Quick.
This one's a quick one. I think that's an A+. Tom Brady did wonders with this.
Dude, okay, but why I give this an A, number one, he'll be the oldest coach in the league. Yeah. But he's won a Super Bowl. He's got more than enough experience. I think they bring Russ back to Vegas. I think they should do it, bro.
Another Pro Bowler.
I love the reunion here. I know it doesn't sound flashy and it might be outdated, but who cares? Listen, they're not, let's be real. They're not in a position to win anything. Tom could tell you this. He could tell me this every time we watch them. But it's something that you build upon. You establish a culture and you just build upon it. Because I feel like, they have no identity. And the competition, when you have a guy like Sean Payton, Andy Reid, and Jim Harbaugh in the division, you just need a guy that can at least try to outcoach them.
Yes.
And you bring in a new guy like that, maybe they can, but those guys are seasoned veterans, and they have a winning winning record. So you get a guy like Pete Carroll to come in, and you establish the locker room, you build a culture. Mm-hmm. You got some players. I'm not saying you're loaded on both sides of the ball, but you have players in premium positions that are really going to do wonders for you. Max Crosby, you got Brock Bowers, you got Jacoby Myers. The running game needs work. The trenches need work. Besides Christian Wilkins, is he coming back? Is he going to be healthy enough to come back? I think if they get a DN, because we don't know that dude from Texas Tech, I forget his name, but Taylor or something, or Ty, I forget, but he was supposed to be, I think he was like a number 5 pick. He was a highly touted guy for them. They just need to, secondary's a big one too. So I think
Tyre Munford?
Yes, something like that. I think their secondary needs work. I think their O-line needs work. But again, you got to make the moves. And I think Pete Carroll's going to have a vision in mind for this team where he's going to want the certain type of players to play his offensive schematic. Yeah. Because again, in Seattle, what they were doing is in pass pro, pulling out the left and right guard, depending on where Russ was rolling, left or right, obviously. And they were using him as like a rover for the O-line, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So he didn't have a single guy to block, but he would pull, they would shift, they would make the O-line block to the right, the guard would pull and kind of either fill the A or B gap, whoever's going to fill that, whether it be a linebacker that's just spying on the quarterback or someone coming off the edge around the tackle in the C gap. So I think that scheme for the Raiders would be perfect if Russ was brought there. Doesn't have to be Russ, but they have a lot of questions in mind. I think if they could, I would not mind to see them draft a quarterback to at least learn behind Russell. Because listen, I love Gardner, and Desmond Ridder's not the answer. But Russ you can bring in. That's not an issue.
I agree with you. Bring Russ, because they will not get probably the top 3 quarterbacks.
Well,
they're going to be pick number 6.
Pick number 6.
Pick number 6. Yeah, so
it's not a strong class. That's the only thing.
But I think you could go, if you really wanted to get a quarterback with your first pick and put him behind someone like Russell Wilson, especially, go get Jackson Dart. Go get Jackson Dart. Their qualities and the way they played, especially when Russ played for Pete Carroll back in Seattle, especially in the early years, Jackson Dart can mimic that. He can learn from Russ and really improve. And you know, if Russ in this works out, kind of like how Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers did, where they're similar players, maybe one's a little more mobile than the other as it's in the back end, front end of their careers, Jackson Dart could thrive in Oakland with Pete Carroll. I don't hate that pick a lot.
I want to get into the draft so badly because I've been doing a lot of the research.
A few more weeks
coming on. Yeah, like there are a couple quarterbacks that I'm really intrigued to see where they go. Mm-hmm. And I'll just throw some names. We don't have to get into it, but where does Jalen Milroe go? Where does Dylan Gabriel go? I think he's a very intriguing quarterback prospect because
Kyler Murray.
There are going to be teams that look at that guy. Like, I think Miami would. I know, just not.
Why? Because they got Tua, lefty?
It's not just because he's a lefty, but let's be real here. They need a quarterback. They need a backup, dude. Yeah. And, like, Dylan Gabriel, I feel like fits what Mike McDaniel wants in an offense, especially a quarterback. Accuracy, short throws. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he would be a later 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick because a lot of these guys are going to fall. But Kyle McCord, where's he going to go? What team is going to take a chance on him? So there was a thing on Jackson Dart. Now, all right, let's get into the Jets here. Jackson Dart.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was
pick
asked
number 7.
Yes, he was asked at the Senior Bowl about, do you like the bright lights, blah, blah, blah. Some Jets reporter like, oh, dude, I don't get bothered by the bright lights, man. I would love to play in a big city, blah, blah, blah. All right, whatever. Hey, take a look. Just keep an open mind. But let's go to the coaching here with the Jets. I gave them a B. I gave Aaron Glenn and the Jets a B. Let's right off the bat, great press conference. I love, again, the
you got it. No, it's all
Duval.
Yes.
Familiarity.
That was
there we go. With the team. I mean, again, played for them, was a 1st-round pick, ended his career somewhere else, came back as a scout, worked his way up the leaderboard all over the league, and is now the head coach of the Jets, which he wanted.
Does it concern you that the Jets, unlike most of the teams in your position, continue to go with a defensive mind? Does it concern you at all? Because I feel like a lot of teams that are in your position have switched to an offensive mind, and for the most part, it's worked out. And the Jets keep going defensive, and it just doesn't seem to be clicking.
No, and you know what? And that's a fair argument. I believe that too. The one thing I will say, like, I just the fact that he was with if say he was with a team like, I don't know, Miami or something, like a team that really didn't win, or like it hasn't been a winning organization or winning culture. Miami's a bad example, but if he wasn't with the Lions and some other team that didn't make the playoffs or whatever, the fact that he was with Detroit over the last 3-4 years and they have been established a winning culture and have won year in and year out, either the NFC or the NFC North, like he has the familiarity with the players. He can collaborate with the players. He gets it. They have a common ground in a way. I like that about Aaron Glenn. I don't think him, like the Woody hiring a defensive guy in this case, makes that much of a difference, because the offense is the part that needs work. Like when you have a bad offense and your defense is out in the field 75% of the game, it's going to be hard to stop them. And they did whatever they could. I wanted Flores again. I think he already had the experience. I thought he established a winning culture, and I thought he wasn't going to take shit from nobody. And I don't think Glenn's going to do the same.
Wait, so you're saying that you don't mind it because the defense wasn't the issue?
I wouldn't say that. I said I didn't mind it because his previous experience and where he's been.
Yeah.
There's been winning everywhere.
No, I get that, but what has been the issue with the Jets?
I mean, we have
I know, but what side of the ball has been the bigger issue?
Offense.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, though. But it's been like that since Sam Darnold. Like the defense, I feel like has, and I'm not hating on the Aaron Glenn. Yeah. I don't want to hate on him because I do really like this hire for the Jets, bringing in a old player who was with a top team last year. I still like the hire. I'm more looking at the Jets like, if this doesn't work out, you have to change, because your offense consistently is the issue, and we keep going defensive minded. I mean, it's weird to me because most teams would say, all right, we've gone defensive 3-4 times. Let's at least try something else, and if it fails, then now we know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Woody just likes that defensive mind in the building and loves having a very good defense.
I think what Woody's ideology is.
Dude, words
Jesus
Christ.
Words
are our thing. Duval.
I think his ideology is, if you get a guy that can be a leader of men, we've seen him with Rex Ryan, we've seen him with Saleh. If you get a guy that has, and number one, has been through a rebuild. I mean, the dude played for Rich Kotite and the Jets. He's one of the worst GMs the Jets has ever seen. He's been on the 1-16 teams. He's been on the 2-14 teams. So having a guy that somehow has broken that curse and has actually started winning games is very attractive to, I think, Woody. Woody has always had some type of fascination with guys who can get out of these ruts and actually come out at the end of the light, a new team, a new man. And I get it, he's a defensive guy. I think it's good for the locker room because, again, he was a Jet. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of guys, especially guys like Sauce Gardner, guys like Garrett Wilson, who are younger and have only been in the Jets for 3, going on 4 years now, they get it, and so does he. It's not like they're hiring some guy who's only been a winner and just somehow he's on the Jets and it doesn't work out. I think going from the ground up and having pretty much a tough upbringing in the league, playing for the Jets, let's be real. But again, you go to the Bill Parcells days, they almost made it to the Super Bowl. Granted, a 1998 fumble of a game, but the OC does matter, I will say. Like, I'm very
They
intrigued.
haven't hired one yet, right?
No, but I'm very... So what they did, the names...
Should go after the Rams.
So that is in the talks.
I like that one a lot.
Me too.
I think more teams should be looking at a Sean McVay coaching tree.
I honestly like the people that they brought in. And again, this is gonna be a process. I'm not putting expectation on this team right now to win, but I want to see good competitive games. They got rid of Keith Carter, thank God, the O-line coach. They brought in another guy from Detroit. They fired Ron Middleton, another guy who has done nothing with the tight ends. They brought in their tight end coach, and Steve Wilkes, dude. Like, if people don't know who this guy is, he's been a massive DC and a really good DC. He went to the Super Bowl with the Niners with Jimmy Garoppolo and that defense. I mean, that is really, really a good hire right there. I'm very happy with that one. But I think he's going to find a common ground with the players. And I know a lot of guys, like Luis Rojas for the Mets, he was obviously like bilingual, like had common ground, played the sport, but he didn't have anything going for him. There was no fire. There was no tenacity. I think Aaron Glenn brings that we haven't had. Saleh, we thought had that, and then just completely shut down.
Dude, Saleh, I mean, he never even showed his
his
character.
true self.
He never showed his
Yes,
character.
and that
he got there and changed. He felt like, I feel like
100%.
his
The Jets
mind,
make you a changed man, bro.
He tried to be more serious. And like
he
try
couldn't
and be
handle
that-
press conferences.
Yeah,
That was his
yeah.
problem. He didn't know how to handle the media.
The media
Aaron Glenn
side of
will.
it's one thing. You know, Aaron Glenn has done very well with this so far.
It really
But
does make a
I'm
difference.
talking about just like on the sideline coaching.
Yeah.
You know, Robert Saleh used to be, he had to have 3 holdback guys in San Francisco. I hope he brings them back.
They brought him back.
Yeah. Good. No, I mean the holdback guys. I hope he has that type of
guys.
energy again. He's not out there being a wet blanket like he was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
No, I very much like the Aaron Glenn hire for you guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's going to do at quarterback.
Now that was my like. What do they do with Rodgers? I don't know what they're going. What's the next option? Is the question. Are you going to roll with? My thing is Rodgers needs to be bought in. Like, and you saw in the press conference, what do you do with Rodgers? He's like, I'm not answering any of these questions. So if you think about asking, don't ask. And I'm like, I love this guy already. Like, I'm bought in. I love that he's just an ex-Jet, and I love where he's come from and that he's played. But I don't know what they do with him. Is Rodgers good? Does he want to buy in? Is he going to buy in? Is he going to stick with his old ways? Like, he's got to adapt. I'm sorry, but like, can an old dog learn new tricks? Can they do it?
He doesn't have to learn new tricks. If Aaron Glenn comes in here and kind of runs it similar to Detroit, I mean, he had Jared Goff out there. Let's not act like Jared Goff's that far off of Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers can probably do more than Jared Goff can on a football field. You know, you just got to implement small things, get the O-line playing a little bit better to protect Rod. I know that they're doing well, but it's like I know that, but look at every team that's hiring a new coach. What's the biggest thing? What's the biggest issue? It's the O-line.
Yeah. Teams
aren't addressing the O-line. The teams that win games have a good O-line. The Dallas Cowboys are winning divisions when they have a good O-line. Jets, when they had
better,
when they had Mark Sanchez, good O-line.
Mm-hmm.
He had time to throw the ball. Aaron Rodgers is old. We just said old dog, new tricks. No, we're literally talking about an old dog learning new tricks, and you have to protect him at all costs. He has a great running back, so the play-action game should be good and save him a little bit and create time in the pocket. It just didn't seem to work. Look at the game that we went to this year. How'd the game end? Oh, it ends because Aaron Rodgers has 0.5 seconds once he gets the ball in his hands. It's hard for an old man to play like that.
For sure, and that's the thing. Like,
we're talking like imagine Soup back there in the backfield getting the ball and only having a second to figure out where he's going to throw it. No, dude, your dad would be in concussion protocol by week 2.
Funny enough, dude, I actually, and you can call me crazy, like I think they're gonna be better, and I think they'll be all right, dude. I think they really have some decent players on that line. AVT was a Pro Bowler his first year. He's just battled some injuries, but he had a very good year. Joe Tippmann, the second round pick we drafted last year, phenomenal player. He didn't miss a snap. No. Tyron Smith, if he comes back, Olu Fashanu, who was inserted week 6 and moved around right, left tackle, left, right tackle, left guard. Like, he's been all over the line, did a really, really good job. And Morgan Moses, John Simpson, got players.
Sherwood actually had 100 tackles this year.
Jamie and Sherwood. He was another
first time he ever had that, I'm pretty sure.
Right there.
Great player.
He learned behind CJ Mosley. What are we doing about him? I think the way they play the game is going to look a lot different. I think their offense would tack it. I mean, don't get me riled into that one. I think the defense is going to blitz a lot. Ulbrich sat in a lot of zone coverage this past year, and they picked us apart. I think Glenn's going to see our defense. He's going to see Sauce Gardner is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And yes, he had a down year, but we've seen it his first year, his rookie year. We're going to see him probably on an island a lot more, like Revis. And I think they're going to blitz a lot. Quincy Williams, when you have him blitzing, the dude's a force and he's fast.
Yep.
So it's going to be very intriguing who they go with pick 7. There are a lot of guys around that, especially this is going to be a big defensive draft for them, I think. Yep. There are a lot of guys that could immediately make an impact. I mean, somehow Abdul Carter falls. You got the
He's not falling, dude.
I know. You got the linebacker from Louisville. You got the guy from Georgia, like Mason Graham. Like, there are a lot of guys.
Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at this. Tennessee needs a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not. But
they're going to get Cam Ward. I got.
They should take a quarterback.
Yes.
Cleveland.
Travis Hunter,
probably should take Travis Hunter or a quarterback.
Trade back.
Giants quarterback.
Yeah, or trade back.
New England.
I think a receiver. I think Tet.
I was thinking O-line.
O-line, yeah.
Build up, Vrabel, get the trenches going.
They're going to get that guy from North Dakota State. Just call it a day.
Yeah.
Just
typical Patriots pick. Jacksonville. maybe he goes out and gets a weapon.
I see defense for them.
You
definitely.
think?
I think Mesa Graham or
corner.
A corner is another one. That Johnson kid from Michigan.
I could see him going corner or safety. They kind of got shredded a bit over the top.
I don't know if his safety is going to go that high though. That's my thing.
No. But if you have a guy that you really love,
ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Meatballs is back here. Mikey Marsala, Mikey Margarita. Because you get 10% off your entrees at Mesa Modern Mexican in Easton, PA. So come in, say what's up to me. I'll make you a drink. Go on Sunday. Go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday to Fridays, happy hour 4 to 6. And I will be there most of those days. Good entrees, enchiladas, shrimp and scallop, the freaking brisket, the pork relleno. There are so many good options on this menu. You got to come in. Use the B Team podcast. You get 10% off. You get to see me. Maybe Muller will be there on a good day. He's usually slinging content out in this cave here. So come to Mesa. Use the discount. Like, follow, subscribe. Back to the show.
Vegas, you have to get a quarterback. You have to. You have to. You can't
one
go.
Of the 12 disciples at this point.
You can't go and but I think you have to go. You have to either get a wide receiver or a quarterback. If you bring in Russ, I think it's wide receiver or quarterback with the first pick. You can't.
Trenches.
I
think they get quarterback late.
Do the trenches matter if you have no one to throw to, if you have no running back, you know? I just think if there's
a long draft, man.
I know that. I know that. But if there's certain guys there that you really think could impact your team, regardless of the O-line, I think you got to go take them. I don't think
you're talking quarterback.
No, I'm talking about wide receiver.
Yeah, if there's a guy,
not running back. They shouldn't take a running back. You're running back. You can get away with it.
Yes,
but I think you gotta go get a wide receiver because if you bring Russ in, you can't have him back there with one wide out.
You know, Brock's
that.
To eat
I get that, but you can't have a tight end being your number 2 wide receiver or even your number 1. Mm-hmm. Like Patrick Mahomes is one thing. You don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
And then the Jets, dude. You might get Abdul.
If he falls,
he might fall to. But see what I'm saying though, the way it's shaping up right now.
That's what I'm saying. But Abdul is that's you can't miss that guy. That's a can't miss. I think he goes early.
And and we're saying the same thing about Vegas. The quarterbacks aren't going to be there anymore that you would really want.
Yeah.
So you might as well just wait. You might bring back Aaron Rodgers. You got Jordan Travis still. Get Abdul.
Even
changes everything.
It does. And we have Jermaine Johnson. We have a Will McDonald. But dude, you can move. Jermaine could play inside. You could put him on inside. I think personally, I think Mason Graham would be absolutely a home run pick for them. Even Abdul.
Yeah.
Like Quinnen Williams needs help on the interior. Mason Graham immediately helps that. Yeah, that is a solidified guy, and that D-line is strong. Will McDonald is finally coming around. Great pick by Joe Douglas. Wish they wouldn't have fired him. But I like this Darren Moki guy. From the Denver Broncos. Yeah. I think he has a good head on his shoulders, and I think he has a direction, him and Glenn. They've been already chatting about what they want to do, so it's going to be a very interesting offseason for him.
Yeah.
The draft is very important. I'm intrigued to see how he handles it. But overall, I give them a B because I'm not giving the Jets an A. I mean, again, history repeats itself. They got a lot of defensive guys and it hasn't worked out. But this one feels a little different in a way. Like I said the same about Saleh.
It's always different when you bring in a guy who played for you.
Exactly. It's just different. So different, and he understands. It's not like a lot of these guys don't understand what the Jets have been through. He does. He's played through it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I really am. So it's going to be fun, I think.
All right. The last one.
Go ahead.
So I already know that you're going to probably give this an F.
C. I gave him a C.
You gave him a C? All right. See, but I've come around to it.
Shoddy.
I've come around, and I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm not sitting here acting like I jokingly post on my story saying we're going to be 17-0.
What are they put in that water? Did you try? It's not poison.
Pure H2O, baby.
Pure H2O.
Listen, Jerry Jones is a moron. He's a moron. His son is an even bigger moron. But when Jerry Jones gets talking about glory holes,
very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
When Jerry Jones starts bringing up glory holes, they win football games. He did it when Dak and Zeke showed up. He did it back in the night. The man just knows how to get the boys buzzing. Glory holes gets the boys buzzing. Now, in all seriousness, Brian Schottenheimer hated the hire on day one. Hated it. And then, you start
doing your research.
You start looking at, why he was hired. You listen to him talk a bit. And things start to change. You know, we were talking about Liam Coen and how that first interview was a little shocking and how players might not be behind him as much. But I'm watching the way Dak's looking at Brian Schottenheimer. I'm looking at all the players showing up to be with him. You know, Brian Schottenheimer was in the building. You know, this wasn't a crazy pickup by Jerry Jones, and that's why I think a lot of people hated it. But at the end of the day, Jerry Jones, he is taking a chance. Like everyone's trying to say he's not taking chances. He's taking chances to try and get this team better. He just put Brian Schottenheimer, who's never been close to a head coach in the league. He probably wouldn't have even been in any conversations had the Cowboys not brought him up.
Yeah.
And
that's why I gave it a C. But he's in the building.
Let's break it down now. Let's break it down. Last year, when you look at the team, Mike McCarthy's the head coach. He's calling the plays. He's talking to Dak. But every time Dak would come off the field, who was the one talking to him? Shoddy. Shoddy's the one in Dak's ear. Shoddy's the one that Dak trusts. And I believe in Dak. Most of Cowboys Nation believes in Dak. When stuff goes wrong in Dallas and Jerry's making mistakes, who's the one that takes the blame? Dak Prescott. So you know what? I'm going to side with Dak here and if he loves Brian Schottenheimer, I'm in because you know what? Dak takes all the bullets for everyone in this fan base, everyone in that front office, when in reality it should be everyone in that front office taking every bullet for this team because of the mistakes that they've made over the years.
You saw it this year.
Jerry and his son have ruined this team for a number of years now, and I think that this could actually be a good turning point. I said this to you, I think,
it's not. We said
2
it's not
episodes
a
ago.
Term. It's not a long term. It's right now.
This right here is a 2-year deal. Who, you know, if it works out and he gets us to the playoffs and we go to an NFC Championship game, it's going to get extended. Surely,
100%.
It's going to get extended, which I'm cool with. If he's able to get us there, and you know, I'm not even asking for a Super Bowl right now. I said NFC Championship game. If he gets us to that spot, he's extended. We're keeping him around because he got us over the hump that lots of coaches prior and lots of players prior couldn't get us to. You know, and I think this team is still built to be able to get there. Sure, we got to go after some O-line. We got to figure that out. But we have a great quarterback. You know, running back, I think we still got to find our number one guy. I think Rico's a great number 2. Wide receiver, Cooper Kupp's out there. We're not looking for a number 1. We're not like some of these other teams that need a number 1 wide receiver. We have CeeDee Lamb. We have, you know, we got Tolbert. Tolbert came alive last year. There's no way Jake Ferguson has as bad a year as he did this year again. Not to mention, people forget that he almost blew out his knee in week 4 and came back after 2 weeks. I think that gets swept under a rug a lot with this team. He's going to be back. I think the O-line is in a decent spot, needs to play better. We talked about it with that draft class. I think that there's just some guys who we drafted very high and there was big expectations for, and you know they got to step up. It's year 2, year 3 for some of them. You're no longer the little guy in the room. Like, you're one of the guys now. You have to step up, or else you will be replaced. Mm-hmm. And defensively, I think when everyone's back from injury, they're dogs on that side. I love the Eberflus hire. Terrible head coach, but I think he can call a defense. Chicago's defense was not terrible. We were just talking about that. You know, it was the offensive side and decision making of Eberflus with timeouts and the way, just stupidity. You know. That's off.
Management was terrible.
It's off his plate now. All he has to do is go out there and call defensive plays. That's all he's got to do.
Wait a minute. Eberflus is where?
Cowboys.
The boys.
Yeah. Did you not see that?
Fucking kidding.
I like that pickup a lot. He was in Dallas as DC before he went off on all these tangents and became a head coach.
So Zimmer's out.
That. Yes, Zimmer's out. He's retired.
Why have I not seen this? Why have I not been on ESPN?
This happened a few days ago.
What?
Yeah, I don't know where you've been. That's just like Drake May being a Pro Bowler. Same with Russell Wilson, Pro Bowler. Yeah.
Why have I not seen that, bro? Usually I have
know.
ESPN on my phone all the time. That's weird.
And then Nick Sorensen is now our special teams coach. You know, he hasn't been great at being a special teams coach, but we have Brandon Aubrey. I just hope that someone doesn't try to trade for Brandon Aubrey. We should not let that man leave the building at all costs. And then one last person who we extended actually is Will McClay. If there is someone in our building that is way better at being a GM than the 2 in that front office, it's Will McClay. So I think that was massive going into the draft and into this offseason to make sure he was extended, staying in the building. He's been there for a couple years now, and I think he's done great. He's been that guy that's out there at every game scouting. He's the guy that's bringing in these players. Jerry Jones is just the one making the call. I like that a lot for this team. I like that he's staying around. Ultimately, I have a very good outlook for this team next year. I think the Schotty hire was very good because it keeps them in the building. It keeps the players in a good state of mind. They're happy with it, both defensively and offensively. He brought in Eberflus, Nick Sorensen, who I don't know about, but and then Will McClay staying. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but we're winning the NFC East easy. Jaden Daniels, it's over. Eagles come in second place. You'll have a very close second. Hopefully you guys do decent in the Super Bowl, not that good. But the Cowboys will be back next year. I'm here for it.
One thing, and then I got to get out of here. I think they need to win immediately. Because I don't know.
Oh, good shout, Mike.
No,
good shout.
Because if Schotty, all your points were good. If Schotty goes, if they start off the year, let's say 2-6, can he keep those guys involved and can he keep that locker room afloat? That's my thing.
Can I read you who we're playing?
Sure.
All right, so we got the Giants twice, obviously, the Eagles twice, obviously, the Washington Commanders twice, obviously.
Yep.
That's almost a guaranteed 3 or 4 wins, right? 3 or 4 wins, you're guaranteed right there. Just off of
Giants,
history alone. History alone in the team we're bringing back,
the Giants,
you'll beat those teams at least 3 times. You'll at least split with all of them. And then you got the Packers, Chiefs, Chargers, Vikings, Cardinals at home. Now, that's a very tough stretch of games.
Cardinals could be a win.
I think that we come out of there at least 2-3.
Okay.
At home. Whether it could be 2-3 or 3-2. I think it goes one of the two ways because it's very strong there. And then away, we have Chicago, the Broncos, the Lions, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Panthers. Very tough stretch there.
Panthers, you got to watch them.
Watch out for the Panthers. But I see a lot of wins on this schedule. You know, a lot of people are saying after the Schotty hire that, you know, we're only going to win 4 games, maybe less. I'm looking at 7 or 8 wins, you know, and then some of those other games, if you somehow pull them one way or the other, you're looking at a 10, 11-win season, and all of a sudden it's playoffs. Like I don't think that we're far off from being a very good playoff team this coming year, especially with the schedule we have.
For me, I think it's...
I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs because
No,
I know
I
it's
that.
very long shot with what
people
we've
are gonna
done.
take this, yes.
But when you look at the schedule and you look at who we have on the team and who we're keeping in the building, I think like we should be pushing for a back-end playoff spot.
It depends on what you do in free agency in the draft. That is my biggest thing because if I'm looking at your team right now, I'm putting you at 7 wins.
So Schotty actually did say that he's big on free agency and he sees a lot of guys out there,
There
that
are
they
a
should
lot of
be
guys out
bringing
there,
in.
and they should bring
And
them in,
I
bro.
think-
that is what they have to do.
I think Jerry Jones he's going to listen to him.
I
think
fucking hope so.
after this past year and the heat that he got, you know, it's not all glory holes and smiles out here.
Yeah.
I think he has to listen to Schotty and he has to go out and get these guys.
Because Schotty's been there and he's seen the offense and he's seen how it's operated. He knows what they need, and offense is one of the biggest needs for that team.
Yes.
What are they going to do at 13? If they take Genty, I wouldn't be pissed about it. Shit, you're going to get a guy that's going to be there for at least 5 to 6 years, hopefully longer. But they need work and they need to do. For me, that is the most important team in the league that needs to utilize the free agency market and the draft to their best of their ability.
Yep.
That is it. Simple. Then after that, we can really talk about where they are going to be headed towards the start of the season. So, yeah, they are very intriguing. You are in a very intriguing spot. Both of our teams.
I like all of the messages from both of our teams, the head coaches, what they've been saying. They're saying all the right things. They just sound very confident
let's just
in themselves.
see it in action.
No, I know that, but you see coaches sometimes come in and you know that they're somewhat confident, like they know what they're doing. But I feel like Aaron Glenn and Schottenheimer have come in and just been very confident. Not the Ben Johnson, like over the top, taking shots at the Packers and that stupid stuff.
But like we got work to do.
They're just coming in. It's like we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we're gonna face challenges.
We have very good players in the building, and we're here to win.
Yeah, they're not talking out of their ass. They're talking. They're not.
BS.
They're not guaranteeing.
It's none of that bullcrap.
They're not guaranteeing anything. They know where they're at in their position that they're in. Like the Cowboys need work. The Jets need work. The Raiders need work. Like all of these teams that have made head coaching hires, they are hiring them for a reason because they either have been in a winning culture. They've done all these things, but they have a message for the fans. They understand. Like Schotty's been around the league too. He's been with the Jets, so I'm excited. I love these hirings because of where.
Are we going to go to the Super Bowl?
I don't know, but we're definitely going to the game next year.
We
that's
are.
for sure.
We
Is that
are.
in Dallas?
No, it's in
in East Rutherford.
Yeah, that's why I sent it to you. We're going.
That's gonna be great. All right, I need to
Let's
go.
Let's get out of
Guys,
here. Guys,
follow,
subscribe. Head over to Mesa for your discount on your entrees this weekend. Let's have a week. Pro Bowl starts tonight.
Duval.
Mark it down. See you guys.